the economy through alternative investments.
Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to you all to the offices of the DBJ, the Development Bank of Jamaica in Kingston. A very special and warm welcome to our online audience, our social media audience, mainly in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. It really is my pleasure to welcome you here this morning to the very first in our series of 7 webinars. For a special welcome to our panelists this morning. It's great to see our panelists live and in living color. For many of you who have been social distancing, that's the same thing with us here in Kingston. We have been socially distant from many of our colleagues for the last few months. So it's great to see everyone. And for those, as I'm speaking about social distancing, I want to assure everybody that we are socially distant here this morning, properly spaced, following the protocols, and of course, you know, it's great to be here this morning. So, of course, we have, our protocols include having no more than 10 persons in the room. Now, COVID, we know, has had an unprecedented impact on our lives, whether it's our personal lives or professional lives. And of course, our hearts and thoughts go to those who have lost loved ones and those who have been impacted in so many ways, whether from your business or your personal life through this COVID pandemic. So as we recognize the long and painful road ahead as we seek to come out of this pandemic, we thought that it would be good to have this series of webinars, to be able to reach out to our audiences here in Jamaica and to be able to share among them, among all of us, you know, some of the issues, some of the areas that we can deal with as we seek to not only survive COVID, but to recover and, of course, to grow and expand our businesses as post-COVID. So we recognize that we have a lot of decisions to make, whether it's operational issues that we have to deal with in how we structure our businesses, whether it's financial issues that we have to deal with in terms of how we finance our businesses. And of course, many of us are now in the survival mode, but we also want you to understand what is out there for you to support you as you survive, as you recover, and as you seek to grow. So we hope our discussions and the ideas shared this morning, and indeed in our series of seminars, will help you in that endeavor. So it gives me great pleasure this morning to therefore introduce our panelists. Starting from my immediate right is Mr. Leo Williams, Executive Director, Williams & Associates, and also representing SME Caribbean Fund. Also, Sandra Glasgow, co-founder and manager for FirstAngelsJA, and Mr. Christopher Williams, co-founder and CEO of Proven, and also chairman of Caribbean Alternative Investment Association. Their biographies, by the way, are on our webpage, so I invite you to view on the webpage. Now, we'll start our webinar first by discussing a number of issues as they relate to equity financing. During the last 20 minutes, I will then open up for questions, so please queue up your questions to be able to send on our chat. So, welcome again to my panelists. Thank you for being here. So, I want to start off first by asking each of you to take maybe 2 minutes just to introduce your organizations and to give some insights into your investment strategies as it relates to equity financing. Leo, since you're nearest to me.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Leo Williams. I'm the Managing Director of the fund, the CEIF Caribbean SME Growth Investments Fund. It's a $100 million US fund that was launched in October of last year, and it's industry agnostic, but seeking value companies that can be grown over a 5 or 10 year period. We're looking at Caribbean companies, so we're looking at broadly the Caribbean community and a few Latin American countries. But we're looking for companies that are ready to grow, companies that are significant in terms of their contribution to the Caribbean economies. And we're also looking for companies with great entrepreneurs. So it's really critical that we talk this morning about what it is that makes an entrepreneur great and what it is that makes a company great. And so that's what we're looking to do. 2 minutes. I'll get back to you with some more in a little bit.
Thanks, Leo. Sandra?
Yes, thanks, Audrey, and good morning to our audience. So I'm one of the three co-founders of First Angels Jamaica. It's an angel investor network. In fact, it's the first angel investor network in Jamaica. And angel investing is really all about supporting primarily early stage companies, seed and early stage companies, with financing, and it could be equity, it could be convertible debt, different ways we can provide that financing. And I think more importantly, apart from providing financing, what distinguishes angel investors from VCs is that we provide smart capital. It's patient capital. Over up to 10 years, we will invest and not seek a return. But also, we provide mentoring and coaching for the founders. We are active in governance. We sit on the boards of the companies. And we're really hand-holding those founders, to make that the companies succeed over the long term. We are, as Leo indicated, looking for companies that have the potential to grow into significant companies in the future. And I would say that, perhaps more important than the venture itself is the founder. We're looking for founders who are visionaries, who have an innovative business, somebody who is willing to be coached and supported over the long term.
Thanks, Sandra. Chris?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. And it's fantastic to be here with such an esteemed panel. Proven is a private equity platform that looks for investment opportunities in the financial services space as well as in the real sector as real estate. Those are our three strategies. By virtue of the definition of being private equity, it leads you to understand that we are more looking towards the accelerator level and a business entity that has already proven itself, the concept is proven, and they want to scale up from medium to large size. And they're looking for, and they're not quite ready yet to go public, and they're looking for private capital to help them to make that jump. And that's something that we can talk about.
Right. So Chris, you are here
Also
represented as a CEO, but also you're the first chair of the Caribbean Alternative Investment Association, which was founded some 7 months ago by the DBJ and 15 other institutional and corporate stakeholders. Some of the largest companies in the Caribbean were part of the founding members of the Caribbean Alternative Investment Association. So, first of all, just indicate to me some of the goals of career and where alternative investments are concerned. And then specifically, what is that role in a situation, the kind of crisis situation that we have found ourselves in, not just in Jamaica and the Caribbean, but worldwide? What do alternative investments, particularly equity finance, then bring to the table?
Yeah, thank you. As you outlined, I'm also the chairman of the Caribbean Alternative Investment Association. And the Caribbean Alternative Investment Association's mandate is to widen the ecosystem in the Caribbean. That's putting it bluntly. We feel that for obviously, close to 200 years now, the Caribbean has been built on a diet of debt financing. And it is, way past time for us to demonstrate to entrepreneurs that there is an alternative, and that in fact that alternative has grown in the last 5 or 6 years. And that alternative comes in the form of angel investing, comes in the form of venture capital, comes in the form of private equity, comes in the form of mezzanine credit, comes in the form of real estate investment trusts. All these avenues are alternatives to the traditional commercial banking debt financing. And Carrier is set up to lobby for regulations that support the evolution of this space, as well as publicize to the general public that entrepreneurs no longer need to cry for help. Help is here, and help is coming in droves. We also want to encourage individuals to establish funds, individuals to start their own CEFs, to start their own First Angel, to start their own provens, and to raise capital to invest in businesses. That in and of itself is an entrepreneurial opportunity. And we want to excite the market. I mean, when you take a look at, I talk to my family a lot about the CNBC culture that, that takes over America, that, literally every single hour of the day, they're talking about investment opportunities. All television stations, full channel, CNBC, we want that passion to get going on investing. And Carrier is leading the charge in that respect.
Okay. No, well, in this pandemic situation.
Right. So in this pandemic situation, we want to say and to have these series of webinars to say to entrepreneurs, listen, this is a demonstration that businesses need.
Sorry, apparently they're not hearing you. Is it okay now?
I don't know.
Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. Right. So we want to demonstrate to entrepreneurs that this pandemic is a sign that there are potholes in the road, right? That businesses will experience crises, and they have to respond to them. How they respond to them comes from their balance sheet structure, right? That's your immune system. We all know now that we have to keep our immune system strong. The immune system in a business is the balance sheet structure. And that balance sheet structure has to include a nice, delicate balance between between equity and debt, right? And we can talk about the various forms of equity that you can have, whether it's private equity, whether it's angel, whether it's venture capital, whether it's JC, etc. We can talk about that. But certainly, what this crisis is showing us is that we need to have that support system called equity, because it allows you the opportunity to take a breath, absorb the new normal, and adjust to it without collapsing your business, without cutting all your staff that have been with you for 20 years, without closing your doors, etc., etc. It allows you some flexibility and some shock absorber.
Building resilience.
Building resilience.
Balance sheet.
Yeah. We think now is the time to have the conversation. Since everybody is in the pain, they're right now feeling it, and they understand that that boy, if I didn't know, I would have done it differently. Well, we're giving you the know, so do it differently, and let's start. We don't have to wait until the end of the pandemic. Let's start now. I saw an article, and I don't know if I saw Nesta Carter, the runner. Said that he started. So if Nesta is watching, we're reaching out to you. Between Leo, myself, and Sandra, right? What we are saying to Nesta said that when he started the business, he started a dialysis business, and he couldn't find any capital to start a business, right? Which is a common thing. And what we're saying to Nesta is, Nesta, we are here. So the three of us here now, we are saying to you, reach out to us, and we reach out to you, and we that's what we are here for. We're here to help the businesses get going. If it's angel investing, then you have Sandra. If it is venture capital, you have Leo. If it's private equity, then you have me, and then you have several others. So as I want to say to Nesta, run come to us now.
All right, Chris.
Run come.
Sandra, as another First Angels,
Yes.
First Angel Network in Jamaica. And you have, what, 40 members?
We have just over 30 members.
Just over 30 members.
And we started in July 2014, so we're way past our 5-year mark. We have invested in 12 companies to date, a little over $2 million US. And I want to point out that unlike these guys who use other people's money,
I was just going to come to you with that.
we are investing our own personal funds. My personal funds have gone into 11 of those companies. So we have invested in these firms. We are sector agnostic as well. We're really just looking for innovative businesses that have the potential to grow. And we have invested in concepts through to, companies that have some traction. The more attractive ones, of course, are the ones who have proven the concept and are, making some money and just need a little push, need some support to grow.
In times of pandemic,
Yes,
where businesses of all sorts are feeling the pain.
yes,
Founders with ideas, the markets that they would have gone after
yes.
in order to attract an angel investor to show that they have proven something. That word proven seems to come up quite a lot.
Strong word,
let's not
strong
use it
word.
too often.
Keep using it.
In a time like this,
Yeah.
angel investors, are you invested?
Yeah,
Or
well-
are you looking to the future?
Yeah. And we took a decision in February to slow down on new investments. And what we are doing now is really focusing on our existing portfolio. So we have companies in our portfolio that are hurting, and need more capital. We're not just providing them with additional capital, but we are working very closely with them to come up with strategies to deal with the crisis. One of the things about our network is that we provide our startups, early stage companies, with a lot of resources. So things like policy templates. One of the things we shared recently was a template for business continuity policy. So that every company, if it hasn't already thought about how it would continue business in a situation of crisis, has some resources that they can use to create those policies and devise those strategies. So our focus now is really on our existing portfolio. But what we have been telling our prospects is that they should use this time to be even better prepared when we start having our pitch events as well. Because one of the things we will be looking at when we assess the ventures is how did they deal with this crisis? What measures did they institute to get through the crisis, to be resilient and to grow over time?
Right. So, Leo, SEEF has raised capital in Jamaica and in the region.
That's right.
And internationally. At this time, what kind of strategies are you employing in order to make sure Are you in the market actively looking?
We're actively in the market looking. We launched the fund in October of last year with 90+% of the funding being local Caribbean funding. It's, as Sandra says, it's other people's funding, but it's our funding in the region. We intend to identify companies that are diamonds in the rough and to grow them. So we're private equity, and we're looking for companies that can take between 3 million and say 10 million US dollars and then grow over the next 5 years. So we're actually very actively looking at companies right now. The COVID pandemic has actually accelerated our review, because what we've seen is, for example, one of our leading pipeline companies, we were looking at how they were performing in January and February. They were about 9% each month up over the same time last year, January and February. And then COVID came, and their revenues dropped significantly, like everybody else. But what was really amazing to see was that the entrepreneur was very responsive. By March, April, he had made some adjustments and had recovered a good 30–40% of what had fallen off. And so that's the kind of management, and that's the kind of responsiveness and the kind of dynamism that we're looking for in our portfolio. So yes, crises will come, but each crisis is an opportunity. It's the same character in Mandarin, crisis and opportunity. And so we're seeing companies that are able to say, yes, COVID-19 pandemic is here, but it's hit the entire globe, and it spared no one. And so we can even think of it like an event like World War II, before and after. It's now a new normal after 9/11. So how does a company say, all right, dust off and let's try again? We're all doing it, and so the ones who can do it more quickly, more aggressively, more concertedly, more focused, are the ones that we think will be, well positioned, and we want our investors to be able to get exposure to them as well. So it's not something to celebrate at all. It's as you pointed out, millions of people have been affected and lost their lives. But at the same time, we have to push ahead. And as Chris was saying, we have lived in this Caribbean with debt as our main staple. We have to diversify our food source. So equity and private equity, public equity, venture capital really needs to be part of our diet. So let's get about the business of finding those companies that need the equity, that need the patience, need the support, the network of global entrepreneurs, the vision, and the ability to build the region. And we're very much excited and engaged in finding those companies.
And Audrey, I just want to underscore something Leo said, because while we are not actively having pitch events right now and encouraging people in our pipeline to get prepared, when we do get to that point where you're pitching your business to us, we're going to be looking at your business model. What did you learn from this crisis in terms of what the new normal is going to look like? How have you adjusted your business model to, to become more digitally ready, have an e-commerce platform, to be using electronic payments, to communicate better with your clients, to be able to continue business in the event of, some kind of business interruption. And that is one of the things I have been stressing to people who have approached us. This is the time to take that time to really look back at challenges and figure out how are you going to present a business that is going to be resilient in the new world.
Right. Now, a lot of Jamaican and Caribbean, say, entrepreneurs understand loan financing. We've grown up on that. Most of us would have had a loan at some point. And on the other side of that, most people would not have had an equity partner. No, having an equity investor is like a marriage.
It is indeed.
It is indeed. So, what are some of the things that, a business founder should understand about this marriage?
Well, I want to say that, I've been in this business of developing SMEs for my entire career.
You were in the marriage business.
Well, I am that too, but yeah, which is much longer. But I have to say that it warms my heart that our entrepreneurs have really begun to understand it. It was, maybe 10 years ago, Chris. You couldn't convince an entrepreneur to bring somebody from outside to put money into their business. They were really just afraid of the consequences of bringing in an equity investor. A lot has changed, and especially with our young entrepreneurs, they're prepared now. They understand much better. But really, it is indeed a marriage because somebody is going to put their money in for a long time, and expect to get a return. So, and this is why the process of validating the founder, validating the business can take a while because really you are courting each other in that phase, trying to understand who this person is on both sides. Who is this founder? And on the side of the founder, who are these investors that I am going to be in bed with for a long time? And really, having to meet the requirements that the investors impose, shareholders' agreements, understanding those legal documents, term sheets, valuation. I mean, that's an area that I think is some area that we have to do a lot more work on. People, founders tend to overvalue their businesses. And so understanding what's involved in making an equity investment, what are the obligations of the founders, in terms of governance, having board meetings when perhaps, if you're a small business, you never had a board. You never had directors, and you didn't have to account to anybody with the frequency that you require. Producing financial statements, producing auditing financial statements, being tax compliant, complying with all the other regulatory requirements. That's a new, that's a new thing for many of these founders.
It sounds like obligations, but isn't that what builds the resilience, Chris? When you come into a situation, when you reach the potholes or the bumps in the road?
There is a reason why the top billionaires in the world are from well-structured, well-organized businesses. Take a look at the billionaires of the world, Amazon, the Microsoft, the Facebook. That demonstrates to an individual that the hustle mentality. I don't know any billionaires on the list that are hustler. When people come in and they grow up on this small business hustle mentality. I just said, listen, look at Jamaica, look at US. Name the billionaires that are hustlers. So I'm saying structure makes money. So forget about us asking you for structure for our benefit. it is to your benefit because structure makes money. The top best performing companies in Jamaica and globally are the most structured. They have a proper board meeting. They have presented financials. They have monthly. I mean, these things, we're not telling you these things because we want to tell you these things. We're telling you these things because these things have been proven to work. 100 years ago, they told you to social distance for Spanish flu. 100 years later, they're telling you to social distance for COVID and wash your hands. So I'm saying there are some fundamentals of success that nothing changes. And we're saying boards, two heads are better than one. When everybody sits around the table with a common goal, you get better results. So it helps when people question your decisions and you have to debate it and defend it. You end up making a better decision. Right? So that's what boards are there for. It's not to scold you. It's not a parent-teacher relationship. It's a parent-student or teacher-student. It's there to guide and to help to make a better decision for the business. In addition to that, the financial information, in nothing measured, nothing done. So you have to measure for success. These are just common things. So what we are guiding you on in business practice is what is proven to be successful. I also want to say that by utilizing the newly established entities such as SEEF, such as First Angels, such as Proven, and such as several of our other members, Cygnus, NCB, JMMB, etc. All those entities, you are guaranteed to have a responsible partner. So you don't have to panic. One of the obvious fears is that you get into business with somebody who's a schizo. So they give you the money, but they're crazy. We are obviously doing the due diligence on our mentors and on our board members and so on to ensure that not all of them are schizo. Somebody. I'm just kidding. But I'm saying, don't worry about that part. Don't worry about that part. That's where we come in. We structure ourselves to give you the best support, right? So don't worry. And then, as I said, the guidance that we're giving, this is not a pain. This is actually the right way to approach business success. So follow it. I think finally to make a point, is to say almost all the major financial institutions in Jamaica are members of Carrier. They have established equity-funded arms. So access to alternative financing is the same as access to debt. When you go in there, you say, instead of you saying you want a loan, you say, listen, I want equity financing. Point me to the person in charge of equity at your establishment, right? Whether you just go into the offices and demand that kind of support, and because these are all our members, so you can get the support from them. So access is there. Because obviously one of the major issues is nobody knows how to find First Angels, how to find SEEF, and so on. And we're saying obviously it's online, so all of us are information is online. But in addition, we all of our members are major financial institutions as well, with branches all around the island.
Or they can.
I just want to say too that we have people in Carrier who are members of First Angels. We are members as well. But also our members are also financial institutions.
Right. So the Carrier website, caraia.org, has a lot of the links that you need and to be able to speak to one of the members about equity financing.
So give me the camera. So next up, you can get
Leo, as
Yes.
we're talking about, all the benefits of equity financing, is it appropriate for all businesses? And what kind of self-assessment does a business need to do?
Well, equity financing is not appropriate for all businesses, but many businesses, most businesses begin with equity, begin with family and friends' money, with their own entrepreneurs' money. So it's very familiar to the entrepreneur. What's most important is, I'm going to switch the metaphor a little bit. The problem with the marriage metaphor is that usually the vows say, till death do you part. That's not the case with private equity. So they're expecting an exit. And the plan is that it's a 10-year marriage. So in the case of private equity, the metaphor I like to use is more like taking an elevator ride. So we'll get in on the ground floor with you. We're both going in the same direction, up, and we're going to decide at what floor we're going to get out. But our intentions are aligned. And so that's the critical point, that we're looking for entrepreneurs who have a vision and who can accept our vision, and we can be aligned together. And so when we move together, we're more powerful. It's not just the capital, but it's as Chris is saying, the ideas, the vision, the strategy, and the execution. And so that alignment takes place for a period of time, and we fully expect to depart the union. So when we reach when we reach our floor, we're going to be exiting, and then that is even a part of the conversation, how we will exit. So it's really important that in our dialogue before we join, that we share honestly what is the intention and the direction to establish that alignment. If the alignment is there, then the funds can do great things. And that's one of the areas where we will help with the self-assessment. The entrepreneur, but if they're not familiar with what is part of the due diligence, what is part of the financial requirement with that, but certainly one non-negotiable requirement is that we have to be aligned in where we think we're going and respond to changes in the market, and the mutual respect of the information that is going to flow in either direction. If we can establish that, then companies can do great things. One of the ways we look for ideal companies is we look for companies that in a particular market, let's say Jamaica or Trinidad, Guyana, Barbados, and then if you've done really well in that market, who are your competitors in the Caribbean, CARICOM, in other countries? And we look to see if we can pair you up with them, and if there's a way to grow, not just in the country, but regionally. And not just regionally, but we can marry you together or pair you with entrepreneurs from Eastern Europe or Asia or others who have done the same type of industry development and who have that experience and who can be a business mentor. And so that's where we see that if we can establish that there is potential and your vision is not just to sustain a lifestyle. Many entrepreneurs build businesses for lifestyle and they're happy when they get to a certain stage. That's good. But if our alignment is that we want to take you to a global level or we want to take you to a regional level, and the entrepreneur says, yes, I'm interested in that, then we can start to begin a really serious dialogue.
Right.
And that's what we want to scale.
Yeah.
We want scale. We want people to recognize that no, we just want businesses to survive on 3 million people. We want the diaspora, we want to reach the brand of Jamaica all around. Let's get some businesses that take on the world.
Right. We have a comment online on that. Somebody indicate that the fund sector needs to be more developed so that there's more of a chance in startups fitting into one of the investment profiles that we're mentioning. Because really, the C fund, Leo, as well as Chris Proven, tend to be more private equity. Sandra, you're not a fund, you're individual angels investing. But what is it that you see as the trajectory as we are developing the funds ecosystem?
It is a trajectory. I mean, we are the ones, the early investors, who are taking, frankly, way more risks than these guys are. But, you know, when we exit or even before we exit, perhaps the business needs some additional structural funding, and that's where. So the whole idea of building the ecosystem is really important, so that you will have opportunities to provide financing at various stages of the business's life cycle. We are in the early stages where VCs are not really interested in these companies, private equity, not even banks. You know, there is, it's very important that we do this, and that's why CARI exists, and that's why the DBJ has been doing the work that it has been doing to get all of these funds developed.
What gaps do you still see? I mean, the DBJ through the Jamaica Venture Capital Program, as well as through other programs such as Ignite and upcoming programs such as Biggie program, is impacting the development of the ecosystem. What is the private sector doing to complement what we're doing, or what is the business advisors out there? What else needs to be done?
I think there are some significant gaps. I think on the part of the founders themselves, they really need to educate themselves about business. Many of them have great ideas, but have no idea about how to run a business. And I think, our universities and our training institutions really need to do better in terms of providing that education and training so that people can understand the basics of business. We are working to develop business advisory services that exist. Some of them are good, some of them are not so great. Mentors, there are programs to develop mentors, because being a good mentor is a skill, being able to gain the trust of the entrepreneur and provide that kind of feedback that the founder needs. So I think it's incumbent on all of us in the ecosystem to push to fill those gaps. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. It's probably not going as fast as we would hope. But I should say one of the things that we do in collaboration with certainly my company does in collaboration with the DBJ are investment readiness workshops. And that's really designed to really get the myths about equity financing out of people's heads and get them to understand really what equity funding is all about and how to get ready for it. How to look at your business model, how to value your business, thinking about your governance and who would be the best people on your board, teaching, helping you to understand what the terms mean in a term sheet and in a shareholders agreement. Those are all things that you will have to face in order to finalize the investment. The due diligence process, what are people like you and Chris and I looking for? What's your background? What's your credit history? What can that tell us about how you will perform in the future?
Okay.
So there's a lot to learn, and we have had several hundred people go through our investment readiness programs. We're hoping to have a virtual one starting soon.
And they have raised the capital level.
And yes, I think that's a great point to make.
We at the DBJ have invested a few million.
Has invested very little to help us run these workshops. But out of those workshops have come investments of 76 million Jamaican dollars. So for the DBJ, it's a great return on investment. And I would urge anybody who is seeking capital to come to it, because it may not just be money from First Angels, but if you have to approach any of the other institutions, you will
You have the
get a better
tools,
understanding.
because
You'll have the
approaching
tools.
an equity investor is a different way of
Yeah,
approaching from dealing with a bank.
loan. Exactly.
It's a totally different,
Totally different. So
it's
we
interaction.
really get into what are those essential differences and how best to do them.
Right. So we have a question on,
Well,
sorry, Chris?
before you go to the question, just in terms of the size of the ecosystem, we first needed to widen it, right? So we're widening it with angel investors, with VCs and so on. We accept that the size of the ecosystem is small, right? We don't have as many established angel and VC funds and private equity funds as we would like, and that's what we're busy doing. That's my job.
But on the other hand, Chris, do we have enough businesses that are ready
Right.
for that
right.
kind of
So
thing?
it's,
There
yeah.
is a lot
It's-
more
we have to
investor
work on
readiness.
both.
Yeah,
and
we have
working
to work on
on
both.
both sides.
We have to get you, the entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
to step up and
be ready.
be ready.
in the business incubators.
And then we have
right.
the funds ready.
Right. Leo, you want to take that question very quickly? Is Korea open to investing in startups, or are they looking primarily at established entities?
Interesting question. CEF, Caribbean Growth Investments Fund, is a founding member of CARIA as well. And what we were
Korea is
looking
the
to do is-
association
The
of
association.
members, of fund
Sure.
fund managers, as well as investor groupings.
But I'll remind the audience that First Angels is a member of CARIA. So
Right.
CARIA has everybody along
wide
the whole
range.
spectrum.
So one of the reasons we joined was we wanted to contribute our expertise to the development of the ecosystem. As Chris is saying, the ecosystem needs to be widened, it needs to be deepened, and it needs to be strengthened. So what we see is we are focused on a specific area, established entities, we being CEF. But we're a member of CARIA, and so one of my undertakings, my pledge to people who I speak with, is if we can't do something, we'll say a fast no. That's the honorable thing to do, rather than continue the conversation, dragging it out for a long period of time. But it's really important that we operate with a vision of the region and the Caribbean Association. And so I've done several times, I've referred people to First Angels and said, look, if you're a startup, you may want to talk to a venture capital or an angel investor. If you are looking at financial firms, maybe you want to talk to Proven. But there's no point in prolonging what we're looking for and what we're doing relative to what some of our colleagues are looking for and doing. We need to build the industry.
So the role of Korea, one of the roles is being able to share
those
information, provide information to founders and businesses, so that they can then identify where they need to go for investment.
We're seeing about probably 30 companies a month. We're not likely to invest in 30 companies a month.
Right.
So 30 companies a month need to be directed to somewhere. Where do they need to go? And so if I can say to Chris, hey, take a look at this company, or say to the company, speak with Sandra,
And
that
yeah.
can help.
And I'm happy to say that through the Development Bank, our access to finance, as well as our upcoming biggie program, we are looking to seed as an investor, because DBJ has been an anchor investor in many of the funds that are operating in Jamaica. So we are looking to seed additional SME funds, as well as venture capital funds and other types of funding that entrepreneurs need at different stages. So as we are about to wrap up, because I think we're having so much fun, the time is actually already gone, I'd like to find out, and anyone can answer, in an era of pandemic, back to the pandemic, which is a center of all attention. What are some of the defensive strategies that you would say to all businesses out there that they should be looking at adopting?
Get more equity.
Get more equity.
Get more equity.
Okay.
Get more equity. You know, the pandemic will end. Whether it ends by living with it through, you know, a new normal, you know, or it ends through a vaccine, it will end. We will, you know, get back to work. The issue is, will you survive until it ends? So in order to achieve that, you need more bench strength, and that bench strength is equity. And you know, the environment in Jamaica over the last 5-6 years has changed significantly, and you now have an opportunity to access equity. So my straight advice to entrepreneurs is get more equity. You know, don't be penny wise and pound foolish to say I'm going to hold on to 100%. As I tell entrepreneurs all the time, 100% of zero is zero. You know what I'm saying? So 10% of 100 is 10. So you know, you're better off if the business is scaling. So you know, that's my advice.
Well, I'm going to broaden the question a bit for Sandra and Leo as we're wrapping up. Not just defensive strategies, which are seeking to protect you and keep you alive, but also what are some of the offensive strategies in terms of, you know, your outlook and your positioning that needs to happen over the next, you know, by our founders or entrepreneurs? Who wants to take it first?
I can take that. It's really important that the company and the entrepreneur looks to invest in themselves and in their customers. And so establishing a way to reach your customer, getting control of your data, knowing where they are and knowing what they're looking for and responding to it. I'll give you a simple example. I saw a video on the social media about how in Trinidad they closed down the fast food restaurants. And there were lines around the block of cars lining up to do the drive-through the last day when they were going to shut down the restaurants. Well, many of those restaurants employ a lot of people, and they provide an essential service. You can't go without food for so long. So the question is, how do you adapt? If you can't have 40 people in your fast food restaurant, you know, you really need to be able to have the drive-through. You need to be able to order online. You need to be able to deliver. And so if you have a business that depends on customers, put the money in to put that drive-through in place, or to put that online ordering system, or to build out your delivery and keep going, you know? So that's what I would recommend as not just a defensive strategy, but as an offensive strategy as well. You know, respond to the fact that this pandemic is here now. You know, once 9/11 hit and they started to screen people going on airlines, 9/11 was done more than 10 years ago, but we still have to take off our shoes and our belts going through the airports. No, this is a part of the new normal. And so the same way the pandemic is going to leave us with some vestiges of, you know, distancing and dealing with customers a certain way, adapt to it. And so get offensive and say, I'm going to start my tandem, I'm going to partner with a delivery business, I'm going to start my delivery business. I'm going to, you know, put in a drive-through, or I'm going to make some change, you know, to ordering online and whatever. But do what you need to do in order to adjust to those things that you are presented with in a sustainable way.
Sandra?
Well, I think, you know, we're in a period where digital is going to be king. If your business isn't digitally ready, you are not going to survive, because this is the new normal. So, you know, do you have a website? Do you have a website that's e-commerce enabled? You know, do you, as Leo says, I mean, one of our portfolio companies that was really quite busy during this period was Quick Plate, which also launched Quick Cart because people couldn't go and get their groceries. So, you know, but being able to take payments online, you know, having your customer databases online that you can contact them, having your policies and employee information online. So this is the future, and so any business that is not ready for this digital future needs to get with it.
Okay, and on that bit of advice, I just want to say thank you to our panelists. I appreciate your time, your commitment, and
Good
sharing
seeing you,
your
Audrey, and
expertise.
Yes,
in the flesh.
We haven't seen each other.
And congrats,
In months.
congrats to you, Audrey, for the work you've done on
Yes.
the venture capital ecosystem.
For
Thank
sure.
you. Thank
Sure,
you.
it's
Has been a labor of love,
Yes.
a passion for
Yes.
development. So thanks to our social media audience. We hope that this has been an enlightening event for you, provided some food for thought, maybe giving you some ideas for new strategies that you can employ as you seek not only to survive, but to thrive, because COVID-19 will end and we need to position ourselves for growth. So we invite you to join us next Tuesday and for the next 6 Tuesdays as we continue our series of webinars on different topics, and we do hope that you'll find them enlightening. So in this time of business unusual, we also look forward to hearing from you. If you want to send us questions on social media, we'll be very, very happy to address your questions. And of course, more information, you can go to either the Jamaica Venture Capital Program, JV Capital, venturecapitalJamaica.com, or to the career website, which is caraia.org, for more information on how to contact some of our panelists.
Or FirstAngelsJA.
Or FirstAngelsJA are proven
We are
or
proven
received.
now.
So thank you very much. I want to also thank my team at DBJ and of course Pan Media for facilitating this. So ladies and gentlemen, have a good afternoon.
All right.
The Development Bank of Jamaica, Jamaica Venture Capital Program, and Caribbean Alternative Investment Association present a weekly webinar series, Building the Economy through Alternative Investments. The Development Bank of Jamaica, Jamaica Venture Capital Program, and Caribbean Alternative Investment Association present a weekly webinar series, Building the Economy through Alternative Investments.